Welcome back to the FloTrack podcast, FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com. I'm Kevin, joined by Gordon. You can find all the old video podcasts, FloTrack.org/FloTrack podcast. And if you're watching on video, you can see Gordon is going with the sunglasses in the car setup for the third day in a row now, I guess. The Wednesday pod you recorded isn't coming out till Monday, but you've done 3 podcasts now in a row in a car.
Yeah, I found my new recording studio here in this A1 parking spot of the McDonald's parking lot. I've had the same spot. I'm comfortable now. I wake up, I have a routine. I drive here. It's about a 3-minute commute from my Airbnb. I got the nice little beach view out the dashboard. Behind me, you can see the Popeyes chicken logo, but I'm actually in a McDonald's parking lot. It is a glorious day here at the beach. Nice and not crowded. Galveston, man, you should make a trip out here. It's worth it. Now is the best time ever to go to the beach. That's all I got to say about that, because there's no one here, so you can just enjoy time to yourself.
I would imagine it'd be pretty empty. Explain the sunglasses. It's 9 a.m. Is it that bright, or is that just the beach look?
Yeah, it's bright. It's bright. It's a little bit of the beach look. It's a little bright. My eyes kind of can't handle the glare sometimes, and I just feel more comfortable. I feel more relaxed with my eyes. I have a lot of sunburn on my body, and so having the glasses kind of relaxes my body. My number one burn spot is the back of my knee, like my calves and back of my knee, and so I'm worried about going for a run because the I'm not sure. I feel like running with sunburn hurts. I don't know yet. I'll find out later today if running with sunburn hurts. Do you think it would hurt? I hope it doesn't.
When you sweat, it hurts, and obviously when you take a shower, it hurts.
Yeah,
from experience. I've been sunburned a lot in my day. So I'm an expert to. I may not be able to chime in on anything else with any experience, but with that, I can attest. Want to talk about Akron dropping men's cross country. Also, World Athletics announced a grant program, and we'll touch on some emails and maybe do some other stuff as well. But I feel always obligated to begin this podcast with a recap of the previous podcast that you do with Lincoln, because they're such hits, man. I just hope people appreciate them as much as I do. You guys just jumped right into overrated, underrated conferences. You were just beating up on conferences, calling them overrated, and people, there's no way anybody was overrating them. So I don't know how they could be possibly like they weren't holding them in any regard in general. You start off hot out of the gun going to the American East. It was just incredible. It was an incredible hour of my life.
Alphabetical order, baby. Go to all 32. You know, when we're in the middle of a pandemic, content ideas are hard to find, especially on those Thursday pods where you're almost at the finish line. You're almost at that Friday pod, but you still got to do one more hour to get before you get to that finish line. And in that situation, me and Lincoln were like, all right, it's conference week. Let's talk about conferences. And then we're like, hey, you can never go wrong with more cross-country content. So we did overrated, underrated of every conference. And I think we can surprise some people. I'm pitching this previous pod. So you guys should pause this pod and listen to yesterday's pod. Go back in time, live that dream. But, I was very I think I surprised Lincoln with my takes of conferences that I felt like were overrated and conferences that I felt like were underrated. There's one conference that I created that I said was overrated that probably 99.999% of the country would probably say is underrated, but I said they were overrated. So
you don't want to say which, I listen to that. I'm not going to give it away. Yeah. I will not give it away. I'll just say this. The name of that conference, the last word in its title is conference. That's all I'll tell you at this point. I'm not going to go any further. I got really excited about collegiate conferences yesterday, in particular collegiate cross country, just in general, because we did this video with Lance Harder of Arkansas and Diljit Taylor of BYU rewatching last fall's cross country championships. They went 1-2, and they were nice enough to sit down and rewatch the race and give me their thoughts on it. Coach Taylor said she had watched the race over 50 times. Lance Harder said he had watched it maybe once. So it was very cool. But and we're going to run that next week, hopefully. But it got me just thinking to cross country. And I know it's tough to think that far ahead right now, and I know we always talk about NAU on this podcast and on our website, and I get it. People maybe are sick of it, but BYU NAU next year, men's race, is going to be awesome. And obviously rooting for the season to happen for a number of reasons, irrespective to that. But just that fact alone, BYU NAU is going to be a knockdown, drag out battle. And it's one of those situations where I want to see it more than once. And it'll be great when it happens at the end of the year. But I want to see those two teams are good enough. I want to have I don't want just one chapter in next year's battle between those two teams.
Yeah, and I know I've been saying this since like since December maybe, but I know it's the NAU BYU battle on that men's side, but there's a third team that is going to be very good that was not good last year. Arkansas men. They have a lot of Kenyan transfers, and if it's a good weather situation, which I think Stillwater, I think that weather is going to not be bad there, right? That's going to be an advantage for these guys. I know typically all Kenyan type teams struggle sometimes in these big races. They can't all put it together at the same time, but especially when it's bad weather. But I really do feel like this Arkansas team, they're going to have three guys who are top 15. And if you have three guys who can finish in the top 15, you can put together a team that can compete against NAU and BYU. So that's going to be my fun little wild card for this. Was it fourth round of BYU? No, fifth round of BYU NAU? When would you say it started? I guess it started. This would be round 4 because BYU didn't really attempt to attack NAU until NAU's second run. So this will be round 4 for BYU NAU. So BYU looking to tie it up.
How would you have those three ranked right now?
I would honestly rank NAU 1, Arkansas 2, BYU 3. Especially with Connor Mance with the injury. You know, I know Casey Klinger's coming back, but, you know, maybe there's that championship slump that that great teams go through, right?
BYU does seem like a team that gets on their high horse. They read the headlines a little too much there in Provo. That's what I've always thought.
Because like Arkansas isn't just like we have 5; they have like 8 guys, and if you have 8 guys, like that is very helpful. Like their 6, 7 are not going to be like, they're not going to be like we have 5 guys and then our 7th man is going to finish 230th. Like their 7th man could easily finish 60th. Like they have the depth, especially with all their transfers. I mean, they got a sub 14 guy from Belmont. Like they've been getting people all over, so it's gonna be interesting.
Well, they got let me just give you the BYU side of things here, because in prior years and even last year, up until they did it at the national championship race, they just didn't have enough firepower up front to contend with NAU. Right? When it came down to it, they had a lot of depth. We talked about how they had 2 top 7s that could make the NCAA meet, but they didn't have that firepower up front. This year, they absolutely have that with Mance, with Klinger, and with Shumway. And then you bring back Garnica, who's All-American last year. At least 3 of those guys can be top 10. They're going to have the depth because they have the depth every single year with those guys. So this is the first year they're coming in with that level of low sticks in the front of the pack. Now, I guess back in the Clayton Young, Connor McMillan, Linklater years, they had that potential too, and it didn't happen at the NCAA meet. But now you've got a guy in Mance who's done it. You have a guy in Klinger who's done it before. Shumway's obviously finished way high up, both in track and cross country. That's why I think it's going to be a different battle. And NAU, you haven't even talked about NAU yet. I mean, what does NAU bring back next year? Pretty much everything.
And they add Nico, so yeah, they're scary good.
Yeah.
But the thing about BYU, the reason why I don't have them second or first is because you just mentioned their big 3. They all have a question mark. Connor Mance, obviously injured. Casey Klinger coming off of mission. So he'll be in shape, but is he going to be 100% in shape? You don't know. I think Clayton Shumway also was injured, right? He had redshirting last fall. So they don't have like their big 3 aren't like locked and loaded and running. I mean, maybe they're going to be fine and healthy when it comes to August and September, and this will be a moot point. But I think BYU is going to be, in my mind, will be ranked third until they run their first race. And if you see these three guys be like, "Oh, we're good," then they're like, "Okay, let's move them up to second or first." That'll be my thought.
I'm just excited because it's clear that it's a rivalry now. They got one off them last year. It's not a contrived thing that we need to say, "Oh, they were pretty close." No, they beat them. They upset them fair and square last year in Terre Haute, and neither team is getting worse too, right? You kind of expect these things to go in chapters, and then the new chapter starts and it takes a while to pick up. But this one is good. I mean, who leaves off that NAU team? Beamish, and that's it, right?
Yeah, they just lose Beamish, but then they add Ryan Raff and Nico Young. So
right,
it's
and they had all those they had all those freshmen, redshirt freshmen last year who ran well in Terre Haute, and they have Grijalva back, who's going to be extra motivated. I mean, we saw how motivated he was in track season, and then after track got canceled, and he ran the fabled 403 in altitude. Is that what Tyler Day told the story? Converts to like mid 350s. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
He's ready. He's ready now. He wants cross country start now.
Yeah.
He's going to set the record for fastest first 8K of a cross country season. He's going to rip apart Buffalo Park.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. Anyway.
Yeah.
But cross country, man, what are your thoughts on Akron getting cut?
Yeah, sad news. So they cut men's cross country. They also cut two other sports there. Said that they're saving $4.4 million. It's interesting to me because you think cross country versus track. Track is so much more expensive. It also includes a lot more athletes in it, right? It would disrupt way more people's collegiate careers versus cross country, where theoretically most people who run cross country are also running distance on the track side of things. But from all indications, this is the first big program to do this since the pandemic came up, like the first Division I program that is established. We obviously know what they've done on the track, but even in cross country, they were 7th last year in Great Lakes. They were in the MAC. They had the individual champion out there too. So it seems like, from what I'm reading, this is going to be a more common occurrence until the financial situation gets stabilized across the country.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? It was men's golf, men's cross, and women's tennis.
Yes, I believe that's right.
So, did they talk about how much each one cost? Because I feel like the reason why men's cross was cut was because, for two reasons. I think they were like, "Hey, cutting men's cross country isn't really hurting the athletes because really 2/3 of the year they still have a sport to do. They still have indoor and outdoor. Mm-hmm. So we're only asking them to take a 33% cut on their collegiate career, because they still get to participate in the NCAA system in 2 other seasons. So I think they look at it as like it's not that hard of a cut on them because, again, they still get to be runners for Akron, right? They still get to put on the Akron jersey. So I think they mentally think it's not that big of a deal. I also think it's a easy Title IX helper, right? Because if they're gonna cut women's tennis, they 100% need to start cutting men's events, so it helps them with their Title IX numbers because it's
but they're also
it's
cutting
easy
golf too.
Yeah, but golf probably doesn't. Yeah, golf I feel like it's the most expensive. Would you say? I don't know. Right? I don't know.
Well, I am not plugged into the collegiate golf scene there, but if you think about the extremes in terms of how much a sport costs to participate in, you'd put distance running on one side, and you'd probably put golf, maybe football with all the equipment that is required. But getting onto a golf course is not cheap. I don't know the setup collegiately, but they have to travel. They have to go to competitions the same way that tennis does. The thing with, and this is probably why people are scratching their head, is cross country. They're traveling a handful of times a year. They don't require much equipment. and the
Or
scholarship
facility.
hit, right? And the scholarship hit isn't dramatic. You're probably bringing in people to the school. We posted on our site a video from a D3 coach, and D3 doesn't offer scholarships, and she was giving basically her elevator pitch, and she's like, "Hey, we get people to come to the school to pay full tuition because they want to do sports too." And that's the case at some Division I programs as well too, especially ones mid-major or lower tier programs. So it's a head scratcher. What you're saying makes some sense though, where you want to lessen the impact of this, so you pick a sport where athletes are also competing in another sport. I feel bad, really bad, for the other two sports where their entire collegiate career gets uprooted. Um, I'm worried, of course, and I'm sure coaches throughout the country are worried that this is going to be the pretext for a lot of other decisions that they would otherwise want to make. Like athletic departments would want to cut down the amount of sports. I saw that some higher ups within the NCAA were meeting a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about, okay, what's the minimum amount of sports to sponsor to still be considered Division I? And they're thinking of lowering that. Well, if you're going to lower that, obviously means sports are going to get cut because budgets are going to get leaner. But I would guess that even in good times, people want to be in a solid financial position. So I think that that's going to be factored in here too. The fact of, okay, well, we got to make cuts somewhere. And when we get out of this, we want to be a good financial position. It's just weird with cross country. It's just weird.
Yeah, well, just in general, with all of the whole NCAA, well, collegiate sport model is waiting to just be collapsed, but waiting to break. And I feel like Corona might be that way to break it. And by break, I mean it is not financially feasible to support all these athletes that just are that are just spending money. By spending money, I mean like you don't make any return on investment by having a track and field program. You just don't. I mean, flying a triple jumper across the country to jump 3 times and foul and come back and do that 4 more times isn't going to generate money, right? You're just spending money, and the money you're spending is money that you generate from TV deals on football or basketball, but that only goes so far. And then the football basketball people want to take that money and make their facilities even bigger. And I've been to so many college campuses. You're like at luxury resorts when it comes to these athletic facilities, because they keep on spending and spending. They feel like they have to keep up appearances for these 17 and 18-year-old football player recruits to be like glitz and glamour. Look at this. We have this high-tech bubble and all this stuff, And I think that all these athletic departments are just not financially, they're just kind of kicking the can every season down the road. Be like, all right, next year will be fine. It'll be better next year. And just develop this debt and kind of covering it with alumni costs and all this stuff. And eventually it's going to break. And people always say, well, football spends so much money and football loses money. Yes, football loses money, but it also, like, if there's no football, then there's no money at all, right? So it's like, it's weird. It's like, I don't know how to, like, we as a track and field community need to realize that, like, yes, we think our sport's cheap, right? It is. All we need is running shoes, and school doesn't even need to pay for those. You could just go get them on your own in a weird way. We don't need facilities; we just need trails. But like, we are just kind of, the NCAA model is just a charity for Olympic sports, and eventually that charity is going to run out of money, right? The charity of football paying for us to develop Olympic level athletes. Football literally, like, the America's love of watching Clemson and Alabama throw a pigskin back and forth is what is allowing us what is allowing us to develop the Grant Holloways and the Sam Kendricks of this world, and the Simone Biles and the Michael Phelps when he went to Michigan. Like, those people have a system to go to, this collegiate system with all the facilities and structure. These 18 to 22-year-olds all because that these football and basketball programs are creating with the fans that we go watch. Like people be like, NCAA's corrupt. They have so much money. NCAA is the reason why America is the best in non-revenue sport athletics, right? Like, we can shit on the NCAA all we want, but if there's no NCAA, I don't think we have. If there's no NCAA, I don't think Grant Holloway wins a world title in 2019. I mean, yes, there's going to be people like a Noah Lyles who can just go right away and like just be a star and get that pro coaching. But some people need to like learn at age 19 and 20 and have a Mike Holloway in their life to train them, right? And Mike Holloway's salary is paid for by an athletic department that makes money because they're football team, Tim Tebow
It's just a big, long PSA for
Tim
Florida.
Tebow, in a weird way, is responsible for Christian Taylor and Grant Holloway's success, because Tim Tebow drove revenue for the football team. That money went into the pockets of the athletic department. Athletic department then said, "Hey, Mike Holloway is a really good coach. We should give him lots of money." They gave him money, and then Mike Holloway is now incentivized to train great athletes, and then he trains these great Florida athletes. Like, all because, it's weird. It's all connected.
Yeah. Yeah. So that wasn't a Florida PSA, or that was? Because it got very Florida heavy.
It's like that everywhere.
I know you've been down
there. Same thing at Oregon. Okay. Same thing at Stanford. Yeah. Like, the reason why Ryan Hall had like his career, like had a good like collegiate career and coaching, is because the Stanford football team back in 2002 or whatever, Yeah. And that's what's weird when. Yeah.
Stanford's one of those schools, though, that could fund this. I mean, with the endowment, could actually fund some stuff, and their football team actually does. Well, I'm just saying there's a difference between SEC football and Stanford football from a revenue standpoint. I saw that number, though. I don't know how you saw that number, 4.4 million, and I thought, well, that's pretty low. Like, that's all they're cutting 3 sports, and they're only saving 4.4 million, and you see that and you're like, man, someone could step in and save it at some point, or like at that point, like, and I get it, it's not an SEC school, it's not a Big Ten school, it's not a Pac-12 school, it's not one of these enormously funded universities with big ticket football games that football teams that are making these lucrative bowl games and what have you, but just 4.4 for three sports, and I know there's like administrative costs that go along with that. That to me didn't seem like a gigantic amount of savings.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it seems like a giant. I mean, $4 million is a lot of money, man. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of things to spend $4 million on. I don't know. I'm able to survive
in the world of sports,
much
though.
Less than that.
In the world, in the world of sports, though, if you have a team of 15 people and you're traveling around to 5 meets a year and you're putting them up in hotel, like that, just alone in just terms of like travel costs, you rack up a pretty high number pretty quickly. You travel a lot. You stay in some of the finest hotels the world has to offer. You know how expensive travel can be. You've been to Terre Haute, Indiana. I don't know. I guess I just I thought the savings would be larger, but I don't know the overall budget. Let's stay on the topic of money, though.
But do you think this is going to continue? Do you think
yes.
Do you think this is a
yes.
avalanche? Do you think there'll ever be a Power 5 school that does it? Do you think there'll ever be like a school or team that, I mean, not trying to disrespect Akron cross country, but cutting Akron cross country is not the same thing as cutting Colorado cross country, right? Just because one is a little bigger. Again, it's still a tragedy for these athletes who train and they go there, these juniors or like who are looking forward to their senior year, and it's all of a sudden ripped out from underneath them. I get it, especially their outdoor track season was ripped out, and then all of a sudden cross country's ripped out. It's like, what? This is crazy, But like, do you think there will be a big named Power 5, maybe not even Power 5, but just like school that is like always like nationally good, nationally ranked, that will cut?
I think what's going to happen is when other schools have to make budget decisions, they're going to look at all their Olympic sports which is how they classify a lot of these things, the non-football and basketball. They're going to look at those sports, and all else being equal, I think they're going to look at the sports that make the biggest imprint, right? So if you've had a wildly successful cross country team that's made the national meet and done all these things, I think but then you have a golf program that just got started a few years ago and isn't that good, you're probably going to cut golf. But for the programs that haven't been that successful and you're weighing these two decisions, I mean, the alumni blowback is a real thing, right? And you're going to have more involved alumni in sports that have been successful at that university. So I think school by school, they're going to look at it. I mean, what's the difference in budget between something like volleyball versus something like cross country, or something like track versus tennis? They'll have to weigh that, and if the numbers are pretty similar, I think they're going to give preference to the one that's going to cause the least amount of pushback. But I mean, there's already schools in Power 5 conferences, obviously, that don't sponsor track and cross country. That happens all throughout the country already. So I think it could definitely happen.
Yeah. I mean, there's no men's West Virginia cross country or track, right? And we just, it's just
Utah,
Delaware
man.
was Utah men. Yeah. This is, it's everywhere. Yeah. I mean,
what you hope for though is if they do have to do it, they do it in a way where they wind it down and give the athletes time to find another place before it's just cut like immediately right at that moment. I think that's what you hope for.
So
Nobody planned for this.
Give them a last dance type moment. You'd be like, all right, last final season
go
moment.
round. Well, because you're in.
That would be kind of cool if if the program's like we're getting rid of you in 2022, and then that team was like, fuck it, we are going ham, and they go out and like win a national title. They just get all that motivation to like, let's do it, and then they'll like cut this and they just raise a trophy up. That'll be a great story.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Remember to email us if that happens, FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com. Gordon and Jeremy will follow you around for the entire year. Let's talk about World Athletics though. They rolled out a grant program here, $500,000. They're going to give out in installments of up to $4,000 of grants of up to $4,000 is what athletes can make. Now the athlete can't have an anti-doping suspension. They already have to be qualified for the Tokyo Olympics, and they need to prove that they need the money, basically. What do you think?
How do you prove you need the money?
You send them your taxes, like your last pay stub, maybe your last 2 pay stubs. You get a reference. I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess, do you have a sponsor that pays you a lot? No? Okay, well then I feel bad for you.
So basically everyone who's not sponsored, basically.
Oh, I made that part up. I don't know. I would guess people whose income has been drastically disrupted by this, which is most people. But maybe you compare you show them 2019 versus 2020, and you say, hey, look at all these races where I was able to travel and get prize money. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, but Sydney's not getting any prize money right now, but she's fine because her base salary is still treating her well, right? So I guess they have to prove.
You got to find somebody good enough to have. You have to find somebody who's good enough that they've made qualified for the Olympics, but not so good that they
have a sponsorship.
Don't have a sponsorship or don't have huge costs. Maybe they have a small sponsorship. Maybe it's a lot of athletes overseas. You think about your 205 marathoners from Ethiopia, of which there are plenty, or on the women's side of things, like the 220, 221 women who now didn't get a spring payday, and the fall payday is up in the air. What's going on in your car here, Gordon? You're looking around.
There's some homeless people outside my car fighting. Sorry.
Oh, wow. It's okay. Can you keep going? Or do you want to take a pause?
Yeah. We're good. Okay, we're good. They're walking away.
Okay.
Sorry.
If you need to go and do your civic duty.
All right, we're good. No, we're good. We're good. Sorry.
Okay.
That was wild.
Did you hear what I said?
I was kind of looking over to my corner eye to make sure I was okay, but we're good. What's up? What were we saying?
Okay.
One more time.
Well, I'm
for
not
the
worried about
people
you. I'm worried
who,
about them. I'm worried about. I was just saying you
people
got to thread the needle. You got to thread the needle. You got to
Yeah.
find somebody out there. But as you were mentioning before we started, this is tough because there's so many people involved in track and field. There's tons of athletes.
Yeah, I always think it's interesting, like grant programs for our sport, like the way they decide who gets it, because our sport is so much bigger than the people who actually make the global championship level. Like
Mhm.
USATF has like a bunch of grants process or grants what's the word? Has a bunch of grants for like their athletes, right? And
Yep.
a lot of
Yep.
times this money goes to the people who make world teams, right? Like the people who are top
Mhm.
3. And those people, the people who are top 3, don't really need grants. I mean, maybe some of them who are in lesser marquee events might need it, but the people who need the grants the most are the people who are finishing 8th at USA's or even 16th at USA's, right? The people
Mhm.
who
Mhm.
aren't consistently representing Team USA. But the problem is, if you have to find a way to pay for the grants for the 16th best athlete in one event, that number adds up very quickly because again, we
Yeah.
have 18 events times 2, over 30 events, the 16th best athlete in the 30th event, that number adds up to about, 3,000 people, and you multiply 3,000. I think I'm doing my math right. Yeah. Right?
Keep going. Keep going. Yeah. Yeah. This
Yeah,
is
I'm
good.
not, I'm
This
not
is
sure if
good
I'm doing
stuff.
math right. I was an engineer. I should know this better. But it just like adds up. So like in an athlete's world, they only think about like their event. They're like, hey, I'm the 12th best 100-meter runner in our country, right?
Yeah.
I should, you should support the 12th best runner in the country. But the thing is, there are 30 12 best athletes in the country, right? There's 30 of them. And then there's 30 11th place, there's 30 10th place, there's 30
Yeah.
16th place. And that adds up. And it's hard to, with the way our sport's designed, it's not that big of a revenue driver, unfortunately. And maybe that's the first problem is how do you drive more revenue? Because if you can drive more revenue, then there's more money for us to start giving out more grants to people who aren't just making world teams every year, And I think
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a challenge that USATF is always trying to solve, right? How to increase revenue in order to kind of help out the lower tier athletes. Because if you be honest, if you're 12th in the nation, you don't consider yourself a low tier athlete. You consider yourself like, I'm fucking good. I'm 12th. Like
Yeah.
in a country of 300 million people, you're 12th fastest person. It's pretty damn good,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But our
I'm trying to
sport's
just be
like,
the
well,
12th best running podcaster,
there you go. See,
and I'd be proud
exactly.
about that. Yeah.
I mean,
No, you're right.
if you
Here's the cruel reality, though. Here's the cruel reality that people in track realize eventually. It's just because you're good at something doesn't mean you're going to get paid for it. And being
yeah,
12th best in the country means you're really good. If you're the 12th best 100-meter runner, you know how many people try to run the 100 in this country? Go to a high school track meet. See how many people run the
yeah,
100. Everybody runs the 100. And to rise to the level where you'd be top 12, to where you'd make a US semifinal, is huge. But again, that doesn't mean you're going to get, it's an amazing accomplishment. Doesn't mean you're going to get compensated appropriately for it, though.
yeah. And so when I see these grants, I mean, and this is not the global level. I mean, $4,000 seems like nothing, and when you compare it to like other sports, right? The
Yeah.
league minimum in baseball is $500,000. Yet we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna give 125 people $4,000, right? It's just like
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of wild how it just really puts in perspective our sports revenue
Mm-hmm.
landscape versus other sports, where
Yeah.
$4,000 is like. I mean, we're on a podcast with Josh Kerr. You guys can listen to it on Monday, but he talks about he still hasn't gotten paid for his prize money for World Athletics for his finish
Oh,
in the
really?
1500 meter final. Yeah, he still hasn't gotten paid.
What?
So if he hasn't gotten
got
that money, I don't know when people are going to get this fourth.
How much was it? He was like 6,
It was
wasn't
like $6,000. Yeah, $6,000. So hasn't
he?
gotten it. It's wild.
Yeah. I mean, that's wild too, to think you can be 6 in the world and get $6,000. That tells you a lot right there too. Yeah.
That's like worth 1 3-pointer in the NBA. $6,000.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like 1/4 of Steph Curry playing basketball. Well, maybe not even 1/4. Maybe less. I guess you'd have to do the math
Maybe
there
like
to figure
20
it out.
seconds.
Yeah. It's Steph Curry in a timeout is $6,000 basically. All right. I wanted to end the week on a lighter note. A lot of heavy topics today. I want to end it on a lighter note. I want to bring back one of my favorite segments. You're ambivalent about it, but that's okay. I think you're gonna like it soon. It's called Instagram Trivia, where I read a caption from a Instagram post made by a person in the running world, and you have to guess who that person is. Are you ready?
Got it. I'm
Okay.
ready.
Last time
For
you
those who
were
don't, what was that? 2 for 2 last time? 3 for 3?
you were 2 for 2. You were
Okay.
2 for 2. Okay. So are you ready for round 2?
So the rules of the game are you're going to say an Instagram caption, and I have to guess who the athlete is.
Yep, and they are all prominent people within the running world.
It's not
Collegiate,
the 12th
pros.
best runners.
It's not. I'll try to keep and if it is, it's a prominent 12th best runner. So you'll be able to figure out. All right, this one is it's way back from April 1st, which was 6 weeks ago. But I like the caption. It says, "My life is a joke. Got you, idiots."
My life is a joke. Got you, idiots. Paul Chalimo?
Craig Engels. Craig Engels. All right, 0 for 1. That's okay.
That's hard, man. How am I going to get that? I mean,
here we go. I should have started with this one.
This is an impossible game. I'm sorry.
Proud new owner of this bad boy will be converting it into an RV with Manahan to kill some time during this quarantine. #van life. I should have done that one first.
I mean, that's Craig.
There you go. Okay, you're 1 for 2. You're 1 for 2. All right, let's get into the black here. Let's get out of the red. Next one. Are you ready? Number 3.
No, I'm not. I'm not no 1 for 2. I'm 3 for 4.
Yeah, no one expects you to go 100%. Yeah, you get one wrong. It's okay. Okay, ready. This is number 3. Yeah, we get it. You've got a whole extra year to, quote, get stronger, end quote. And next year is, quote, your year, end quote. Well, here's your reminder that I'm still here, ready to destroy your silly dreams.
Yeah. Ready to destroy your silly dreams. Yeah. Extra year. Who has like that cocky attitude? Can I get a event group?
Mid distance.
Oh, Centro.
Craig Engels. Sorry, you're now 1 for 3 on today. Here to destroy your silly dreams, though, is some heat. That's some heat, right?
Well, this is comedy. That's his take on comedy. I'm gonna be asshole today, and everyone's gonna laugh at it. That's what that was.
I liked it though. You didn't like it?
It's good.
I'm wondering who he's talking about. Yeah. You got an extra year and you're getting stronger. I like that.
Who he's talking about?
Are you ready for the next?
He's talking about trying to make a joke. That's what he's talking about. Anyway,
you sure? I think.
All right. I gotta get back. No more Craig Engels. Can we just do a non-Craig Engels one? Or was this the whole bit that you were just going to list only Craig Engels?
Tweets? Well, that was a joke for the first 3. But I screwed it up because I should have done the van first where it was obvious. You're like, oh, Craig Engels, and I do the next one and it was Craig Engels. But I read them in chronological order. Here's one: 1 degree down, 1 more to go. #USC grad.
1 degree down, 1 more to go.
#USC grad.
Michael Norman? Benjamin?
Incorrect. 20 Shateri. She graduated in 3 years. Props to her. I just want to say congratulations.
Oh, does that mean she's going pro?
Well, she says 1 degree, 1 to go. I'm guessing she's going to do a grad program. And because now she's got, I don't even know how many years of eligibility now with the corona and the like. But
well, you think they're all going to try to go pro if they can make an Olympic team next year?
She was. I had forgotten. She was. I think he was 6th at USA's last year. So she was right there.
Yeah.
All right. How are you feeling so far?
I'm having a bad day right now. This is like
You're
it's coming
1 for
in
4.
batting 100, and now I'm batting 250. This isn't good.
250 still
Guess
isn't bad.
overall,
Okay, here we.
it's not bad. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a video where they're doing core work, and the caption says, "Who did it better at King James? Core work, getting fit, let's work. Who's with us? Hashtag strive for greatness. Hashtag Mamba mentality. At Nike running. At Nike basketball."
Okay, so it's a Nike athlete. Core work.
Yes,
You
did it.
Who's like a Nike basketball fan? Who's like a basketball fan?
Here's the key hashtag here. Mamba mentality. That's the key hashtag that will give this away.
Cholimo?
No. Jordan Hosay. She
Is it
ran the
angled?
Olympic trials. No, it's Hosay.
Oh,
She
Jordan
ran it in the
Hosay.
Olympic trials in the. Come on, man.
Oh man, I'm really bad at this game.
What do we do?
I should have retired young. What am I doing?
Okay.
I'll be better. I'll be better at the T-first game instead. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Should we have done the?
That's my actual calling. We could play that another time. All right, one more. Right. I gotta go out with a win. Give me a win. Give me a good W.
You have more than one. We're doing more than one. We need to get you back to 500 here. Take life day by day and be grateful for the little things. Don't get caught up on what you can't control. Focus on the positive. Tokyo 2021 on my mind. Go hard or suffer the rest of your life. And then a bunch of hashtags.
I don't know, man. How am I supposed to know who that is?
Go hard or suffer the rest of your life. It's this person's motto.
Go hard or suffer the rest of your life?
Yeah.
What is this person? How am I supposed to know the motto of this person? Go hard or suffer. I mean, Cholimo?
Correct. Paul Cholimo. Thank you.
There we go.
Stop complaining and answer questions. Come on, man. That was that was in the Lamong Instagram back and forth because he said, go hard unless they beat you or something. Like he made fun of his hashtag. Come on, dude.
I have a life outside of track, and I don't have like these Instagram caption knowledge encyclopedia in my head.
You're on Twitter all the time.
I don't follow
Instagram,
I barely follow runners on Twitter or Instagram, just for the record.
Oh, you should. It's helpful. Okay, this is good. I'll give you a hint on this one. This is a good caption though. This is a men's 800-meter runner. Okay. Racing neighborhood kids on their bike. Yeah, racing neighborhood kids on their bikes is the new challenge these days. There was no exchange of words, but when the little girl on her purple mongoose matched my pace, we both knew the race was on.
Isaiah Harris.
What do you got? Incorrect.
Isaiah Harris.
Also incorrect.
Right, purple mongoose bike. The race was on.
Yep.
Eric Swinski? No, you wouldn't tweet that. That's a whiff.
No. Swing and a miss.
Dwayne Solomon? No.
I
think it's a young person.
It is. So just guess the young person. Yes.
Bryce. Is it Bryce?
There we go. Bryce Hoppel.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, so
I feel like that's something
that one wrong.
Isaiah Harris would do. I bet you Isaiah Harris has also raced a child on a bike, so I think I get a sack fly or at least or something, or like a walk.
I don't know what you're. I don't know why you're so bad at this game after being so good.
I think it's because I'm at the beach. I'm a little lazy now, kind of sunburnt. My mind is all over. Right. I just almost got 2 homeless people almost broke into my cars. It's been a wild pod for me.
They were fighting. Why would they break into your car? All right, ready? Are you ready for the
next
one?
He was leaning on my car. He was like, they were touching my car.
Oh,
they were like leaning onto the window fighting. And I was like, shit. The doors were locked, so that was good. Anyway.
Get it.
All right.
Are you ready?
Let's go out with the win. Go out with
I'm trying to help you. Home run. I'm giving you like the easiest stuff possible here with
I don't think you understand how ridiculous it is for me to know generic words to it.
I'm going to put
there's so many athletes.
Can we get JoJo to be in your place the next time we do this? Is that
JoJo would be really good at this? You'd probably be like, "Oh yeah, I saw that. I retweeted it." Yeah, no, JoJo would know all of them. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't follow. Okay, go. Here we go. Give me
I
a
just
good one, and I'm gonna get it right.
I'm just
And
ti-
you
I'm just
writing
tired of your
out?
excuses. What's that?
Give
I
me.
just want you to
Is
set
that
up.
the Instagram? I'm just tired of your excuses. Who would say
Yeah,
something
no, I
like
mean
that? I don't know.
I am, but no, I'm trying to find one now. Like you've made this difficult. Your inability to get these things right has kind of flustered me because I thought you were ready for advanced level stuff, and
Yeah, I
clearly
know.
you're not. How
Sorry,
about this? How about you pick an
I was a
event
good
group.
prospect, but I
You
haven't developed.
you pick an event group, and then I will find one. How about that?
100 meter.
100 meters. Okay. You ready for this?
Yeah.
I got one of those actually right here. Marked, measured, and ready for takeoff. And it's a picture of this
No,
athlete holding tape. It looks like for a relay start.
looks for a relay start. Marked, measured, and ready for takeoff.
Yeah. And
Um.
this tweet was liked by Grant Holloway and 6,257 others.
Uh. Nathaniel Mitchell Blake.
If I'm trying to make this easy, why would I do Nathaniel Mitchell Blake? No, it's Justin Gatlin.
No,
This game is canceled until further notice. This just died. I don't know what the
I
problem
didn't
is.
know
This
Justin
is just like
Gatlin used. No, hold on. I thought I eliminated Justin Gatlin because I thought he's not on social media. Didn't he quit social media?
everybody quits and then everybody comes back, I think. You know what's
Oh,
interesting? People don't everybody just posts on stories now. Very few people post on actual like just regular traditional Instagram with captions. So
yeah.
I guess I need to take screenshots before these stories go away when I see obvious ones. But
We need to play this game back at you and make you feel embarrassed the way you're embarrassing me right now. So
no, I could do
I
it. I
think it's
could do it.
okay
I think
though to
most
be. It's okay to suck at this game. I feel like if you suck at this game, that means you have a life. That's what I like to think.
no, I have a great life. I got two kids. I got a wife. Everything's going well. You look at six Instagram. I look at track Instagram.
Yeah,
So
because
neither one
that's
of us is better than the other. So, but one of them we're paid to talk and write about, and the other one, well, you're unofficially paid to write about the Sixers because it pays you with warmth in your heart when you get those Reddit upvotes. So
I do want
you
to
get
ask you
paid
one
in
question.
upvotes.
I get paid enough votes. I like talking about basketball with you on this track podcast because everyone loves
Last
basketball and
dance.
track.
Let's go. We got 6 minutes.
Last
Let's
dance.
do it.
I got a last dance question for you. For those who
Yeah.
are watching that documentary, great documentary. There's a scene about Pippen taking taking himself out of the game and basically quitting on his team. And
Yes.
what do you think would do you think that has ever happened? I feel like that can happen in the track world where an athlete's like, I want to be the 4x4 anchor, and I'm not running the 4x4. I don't want to run the 4x1 because, I feel disrespected, or, do you think that has ever happened at like a high level important stage?
Yes. Don't you have firsthand knowledge of this situation exactly happening? Or that wasn't a anchor thing. I was just people not wanting to run 4x4s, right? In general.
Yeah, yeah. That
Okay.
was
You're
yeah.
talking about you're talking about somebody uh wanted to run anchor or wanted to run a specific leg and then they don't, so they're like, I'm not doing it, basically.
Yeah, I feel like that has
100%.
happened for Team USA
100%.
in the 4x1, right?
100. Yes, it has to. 100%. 100%.
Which is
Um,
wild.
yeah.
Why do people care so much? Like I
Why do
heard
people
that
care so
Justin
much?
Gatlin doesn't want to do anchor because he didn't want to be anchor against like the Jamaica teams because he didn't want to get rolled up by Bolt.
I
Is
don't
that a
think that's
thing?
true. I think they put him. No, I don't think that's true. I think they put him on second because he was the fastest for a while, and you put your a lot of times you're putting your fastest leg second. That's just
But
how it goes.
Jamaica put
Tradition.
Bolt last.
Yeah, I mean everybody does it differently, but a lot of people are putting their fastest. Wait, what did US? I'm blanking now on what US did. They went. Lyles anchored. Yeah. Coleman led off, right? Didn't it go Coleman to Gatlin
No, I think
to
Rogers
Rogers
lead off.
to Lyles? No, I think they
I think
put.
Rogers led off. They put Coleman third.
Oh, now this is gonna bother me. I'm gonna look this up.
Well, I don't know. Just from talking
I
to
should know this.
like having some like side conversations with Carl Lewis when filming the Houston documentary, he talked about how there is a lot of political games that go on with the 4x1 order, and it can be controversial.
Oh,
Like it happened
100%.
on
Yeah,
the
Coleman.
women's side where like they thought like, hey, I was top 4 at the U.S. trials. I'm on the 4x1, and then they put Allison Felix on there instead. Things like that
Yeah,
happen where they're kind of like because
yeah.
I mean that happened. I guess you could say that kind of happened here because Justin Gatlin and Noah Lyles both did not run the 100, right?
Nobody was
Did no
questioning that though. I was right about the order. It was Coleman to Gatlin to Rogers to Lyles. Rogers going third was the thing that was kind of like, oh, that's weird. But then I think I asked him after the prelim, and he's like, oh, I've run third a bunch of times on relay legs, so I'm fine. Listen, you're asking me if this could happen in track and field. I say 1,000%. It happened in a team sport with a very strong coach on a championship team with one of the most important players, and he took himself out of the game. Imagine the shenanigans that go on in track when you have a whole collection of individuals come together, and the coach is somebody that oftentimes they've never worked with or isn't their actual coach, and they're making edicts and rules up, and your teammates are the people who are oftentimes your fiercest rivals. Of course this has happened. This probably happens. There's some drama, I bet, on a relay between the 4x4 and the 4x1 at Worlds and Olympics every single time they get together. It's just a matter of how big of a deal it is and how many people find out about it. Whether it's who's off, who's on, who's running what leg, who doesn't want to run, who does want to run, all the time. And if
so
you probably go into lower division, I bet there's situations all the time where in college, high school, coach says, hey, you run an anchor on the 4x4, and the person takes them, they don't want to run it for whatever reason. They say, I'm not going to run. Just like Scotty took himself out of the game, not because they are jealous because Tony Kukoc gets the last shot, but they just don't want to run it for whatever reason, and they leave their teammates high and dry.
spoiler alert, man. Tony Kukoc, man. Spoiler. No, but
I mean, if you don't know
I guess,
that, I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I mean, looking back at the Team USA on the men's side in the 4x1, they haven't had a good record the past like 10 global championships, right? And a lot of it
Right.
is missed drop batons. Remember that year when they didn't have a bib? They had to like fake a bib because they didn't have their bib in time. Like it was like 2012 or 2011 or something like that. It just keeps on happening. Why?
Yep.
Why does that keep on happening?
A lot of different reasons that we've talked about. Mostly, there's no practice going on. They're not together at relay camp. For a while there, I think they were getting it.
Oh, sorry. Continue.
Well, the counter to that though is I remember people asked Jamaica and they said, well, they didn't really practice either, and they were able to get the stick around. I think a lot of it was just pressure too. At a certain point, it was don't screw up, and anytime you're trying not to screw up, that's when you normally do screw up in anything in life. I feel like it just magnifies the pressure of what you're doing. But just because Jamaica didn't practice doesn't mean not practicing is a good idea, right? Like you could not study for the engineering test and get an A. That doesn't mean I should take that same class next semester and not study because Gordon got an A. Like that's just not that's not a good way to go through trying to perfect something. And if you're getting 4 people together and you're having very little practice, then you're going to make huge errors on the big stage. And I think with the US, it was compounded by the fact that there was all this pressure to get it right. If Japan drops the stick, okay, whatever. If the US drops the stick after having the reputation of what they have of dropping the stick, it's a national story, especially in the United States during the Olympics. It's a big story. Not the World Championships, not that many people are paying attention to, but the United States dropping it, it's like, oh, here we go again. You get that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting too. Like, do you think the athletes, if you're the best, you could say arguably best in the world, at least 3 of the 4 people on Team USA could argue that they are medal contenders in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Especially. Do you think they don't? They're just like they have this sense of mind that it's easy because like practicing for relay is something that like college kids do. It's something for high school. I'm a professional athlete who gets paid. I don't need to practice baton exchanges. That's below my pay grade. Like
No, I think
like
what's
I'm
happening
paid
is
to run
there's
the 100.
so
I'm not paid to be in the 4x1 type deal.
I get that. I think what it is there's so much pressure on their individual event, and they're 100% dialed into their individual event that's where their focus goes. And then once they get through with that, then it's, oh, okay, I can take a deep breath now. Now I'll focus on the relay. But you can't cram for the relay. You can't just be like, oh, what's this? Let's just do a whole bunch of practice within one day. I mean, you saw in 2019 Doha, right? They almost got DQ'd in the first round. They almost didn't get through. And then Christian Coleman called a team meeting, got everybody together, said we need to tighten up and got them on the same page. But I just don't think there's a reason why college teams practice every single day, practice handoffs all season, right? There's a reason why they do that. And it's because practice is helpful in everything in life. But the way track and field is structured, now, if they adopted your idea of relay teams qualifying as teams, be totally different. But with the current structure, you're just throwing 4 people together, and it's the last thing on their mind. They're trying to get their individual event together. That's what they're really worried about. And then after, hey, let's focus on this relay. But there's a huge technical component to it, which is just passing the stick.
Yeah. Wild, man. Wild. But yeah, yep. Last Dance, final 2 episodes. Hit your
we'll
TV screens near you on Sunday.
Yeah.
Gonna be great. Episodes 9 and 10. Hopefully we'll see if he wins that 6th championship. I don't know. My one thought about it is that like the documentary is kind of glancing over all of the times Michael loses, and it's just like we like to pretend that Michael was perfect and we say 6 for 6, 6 NBA MVP, Finals MVPs, 6 titles. He wasn't 6 for 6. He lost a lot. He lost like 7 times in a row before he made his first championship.
Finals he was perfect. Yeah, in the finals. They say in the finals he's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, but like people think it was just like perfect in the finals means you're perfect in the playoffs. But I don't know. People like dunk on other greats, aka LeBron James, when he loses in the finals, but no one is dunking on Michael Jordan for losing to the Pistons or dunking on Michael Jordan for losing to Horace Grant and the Orlando Magic. Like,
yeah.
Or even dunking on Jordan for banning a team. I love it. It's just like the greatest player of all time is just given a pass for just bailing on his team twice. I don't know.
Well, we can go down that rabbit hole next week when we recap the whole series on this podcast. I have some thoughts there. Namely, the general manager of that team and the owner didn't do much to inspire loyalty. I will just say that.
They only put like the best players around him to win 6 titles, but imagine a GM put drafting and signing all these great players, and then Michael Jordan's response was like, "Yeah, well, I don't like you." That's my hot take.
That's a bad one, but it's okay. You're allowed to you're allowed to have it. FloTrack podcast at gmail.com. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We will talk to you guys next week.
Yeah, I'll be back in Austin.